Hi. How you doing? You know it's gonna be one of them chats, right? You know, I've really been missing talking on here for a while. It's been a minute. I can say I think I've been on everybody else's live except my own. Okay. So today I'm gonna talk about the Songbird the movie and how it's linking to what is going on, what's about to happen. I might go into details. Let's see if I'm on because like it's saying something else there and I'm not on. Let me see if I'm on. I'm on, I'm not on. No, I'm on. Okay. Yeah, now you have to check these things, right? Yeah, so basically there's been a lot going on. The reason why I chose to speak about Songbird really focuses on the C19 situation. And I don't know, maybe it's the future. I don't know. It's just so many things in the um, Songbird movie. There's so many things, you know. I think I spoke about this before, i.e., with the immune bracelet. Now, the immune bracelet can signify, you know, the vaccinated people, etc., and the ones who's not. But in the movie, it's signified by bracelets. By a bracelet. If you don't have the bracelet on, you're not immune to the C19 kind of thing. Um, Another thing I noticed about the movie, um, they do have delivery thing, you know, where they're on bikes, which is what we're doing now because I do it as well. So I'm not even gonna cap. Where they order food and then it goes through a like it's checking to see if it's got the virus on it. So it goes through like a containment situation. Um, Also, another thing also comes to mind as well is what's the next thing what comes to mind of that movie? The way the people's used, you know, the characters. There's two characters in there that takes people to places and the power goes to their head, i.e., if they're not immune then or haven't got the bracelet, they get taken away. Now that can mean a number of things. That can mean like the camp business. If you know about the camp business, if you're in on the information on that, you know what I'm talking about. Um, they take them away. Not only that, there is a lot of hints as well because they wear mask. They wear the mask. Um, Computers is used a lot. The streets is quiet. There's hardly anybody on the streets except for the people who is bringing back and forward stuff, etc. So I am gonna pull up. There's a flooding scene. I put out a couple flooding scenes on here, but there's been a few floodings as well. One person gave me a video on something, you know, tunnels getting flooded out. Um, Food shortages is another thing that's coming up a lot. So you have to prepare for that if you haven't already. I put up Queen, I forgot her name now. I will say her name wrong. I'll sure I'll chop up her name. She was talking about the food shortages. She said before, because she announced way before to her subscribers to be prepared. So you have to be prepared for this. This is not a, what you call it, it's not a joke business at all. It's very serious. And if you know people, you have to be able to get in touch with people. So even though people can pack up a few bags of stuff and then, run up into the hills, in most cases you can. Some cases it's harder for people to leave their houses because they made their house in such a way they have all their memories in there. It's harder. Now the next thing, what I've been also been doing is looking up water. You just need to have the basics, I think, because most cases the shops have had a case where when you go there, there's hardly anything on the shelves. So, with me saying all that and then some, I am going to try to show some of the things which have actually come to fruition. The the child trafficking is definitely on a high. I know that for sure. That is on a high, no doubt, in different ways. Um, there's a lot of things going on in foreign countries. Right now, there's fire in Turkey. Now, I don't know whether anybody else is talking about this, but there's a huge fire in Turkey. And, it's really bad. There was a lot of flooding in Belgium, mostly European countries, i.e., UK as well. But like Portobello Road, like certain places, it's not been everywhere. But the rain has been very crazy. I can say that because last year I actually grew stuff last year. This year is a bit more harder. Everything keeps getting waterlogged. Not only that, the plants are not as whatever like before. Maybe if you have a plant from last year that is growing, maybe they will more fruitful this year. But yes, it's not as before. It's different. It just feels different. Everything feels different. I feel. Um, I'm not paranoid by no means. I just feel like the atmosphere is different. The way people move is different. They took off restrictions as well. But in saying that, yeah, the restrictions are off. But later on, we might go, well, it said that there will be another lockdown. So people need to not get lost in the clouds now and go crazy because you have to keep your mind, what you call it, your head to the ground, keep it earthed, like because you can move around. Yes, you can move around, but at the same time, you move around, but you have to know the limits. Not only that, an increase of racism has been a bit more than usual. So, with all that said, in a nutshell, I think I said the whole heap. But you know what? I'm gonna try get some videos as well. Hopefully, I haven't already put them on IG for those who's on my IG already. I'm gonna try find the videos of the shortage, the food shortage, because that was one of the biggest things. The thing is that I got to try not to get a BBC one because they'll hit me. So I'm going to do that. So what I'm trying to say is this songbird here, this contagious, all their movies rolling into one. What they were doing, they were preparing us through the movies basically, and right now we're seeing a lot of things coming straight and forward as well. So not only that, there is a spiritual war going on. I would say that on a very big basis, is a big war going on. You have to be very grounded to deal with this BS right now, because I choose not to really go certain places. They had an event down Brixton 2 days ago. Me personally don't see the point of that, because while you're down there marching, making up a ruckus, you could be coming together and putting food together. That's how I see it anyway. But don't come for me, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's just, to me, you're not using your mind. I mean, your brain. You have all this information coming out from between here and America and other places. There's all this information about what's going on, right, and all that, and you are still choose to go on like you're ignorant. Now, what I'm saying is, in Songbird, this is highlighted because this movie I think came out last year on YouTube here, and it's right when they put out movies. Sometimes they don't put out movies like movies. They put out movies for you to think as well. So basically, you have to read between the lines. Some movies really give it away. What is the plot going on right now? It's no joke out here at all. So before I go on and go into my own little zone, I'm going to go and pull up the food shortage one, because I think that's where we need to start first of all. And even though they don't show it in the Songbird itself, the movie, it's happening. This is all happening in front of our face, in front of our eyes. So you have to be prepared. So with that said, let me go find the video.
Two, one, go. Keisha Moroni, natural nurse in a toxic world, and I'm here reporting for Sons of Liberty Radio, and I have this gentleman next to me you might have seen all over media and social media, an Indian gentleman, and he's talking about what's actually going on with the farmers in India. Now, I myself this week noticed that there was a definite decrease in the foods on the shelves in Waitrose, the supermarket, and it was the same in Sainsbury's and Tesco. Now, I asked the manager, and I was told, first of all, that they had a problem with their IT and the ordering of the food. And then yesterday, I was told that they couldn't actually get delivery drivers. So I think you might want to now hear what this gentleman has to say. He's very well known and versed on this. And I would ask you, sir, to first of all introduce you by your name, and could you speak very loudly?
Okay, my name is Gurchan Singh, and I'm a human rights activist. The reality of food shortages, what is being set up in Europe, is the same what they done in Africa and the same what they done in Asia. The situation is they're deliberately destroying food in transportation and warehouses. The situation is the food is ready. They have both the food from the farmers is rotting in the warehouses and in the trucks. And the cover story they are selling the world is that there is shortage of drivers and secondly for the laborers. That is complete bullshit. The idea is simple. They want to starve you to death. And I want to make this clear to everybody. If you let them lock you down again, they're going to use the same propaganda they used in Africa and the same they used in Asia. They rot and destroy all the food crops, and what you're gonna see is mass shortages of food in your warehouses, and you would be locked down. So if you let them lock you down, you will starve to death.
Thank you very much, sir. Do you have a card at all? Because it would be really good to get you onto radio and get this out.
Take my number.
Okay, so that's great. I'm going to sign off and I'm going to get this gentleman's details. And we're gonna
So you heard it. Whoops. So you heard it. The guy, you heard they said they have the food rotten in the houses, in the warehouses. The food is literally there. And yeah, in Sainsbury's, yes, there was one time I went in and the shelves were semi-empty. So this is a fact. And this is not made up. So people need to think about storing food right now. Just store your food if you can. Store little, and then just do what you got to do. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the next video. Okay. Right. Another thing what's happened is an earthquake. There was an earthquake in Peru, and it's probably not been spoken about on the news, but there's videos coming out on it, which is good. So this video I'm gonna put out, you'll see the cracks in the earth, literally, see the cracks in the earth, and the cycle continues because you just see it like there is something, people are manipulating stuff in the earth all over. That manipulation, this is the results of the manipulation. So I'm going to show you the video from Peru.
Mira. ¿Dónde? Acá también. Ah, ay, Dios mío. Mira, mira. Mira, asu.
So now we've moved on to the flooding, and I'm going through these videos quick and fast, but keep up with me because I'm going to go back to the songbird and the reason why I'm showing these even more. Okay, so I'm going to show a flooding from England. There was quite a few floodings actually. So there's one in Belgium, one in London, and one in the next place, but I can't remember right now. So I'm going to show you the flooding in London.
Because the plugs and everything. Like we have plugs on the floor here. And they're all going now. Well, that's gonna go. Oh, that's plugged up here. But that's gonna go soon, Marion.
So that's just the flooding from London. That was Portobello Road. That was, I think, a week or so ago, maybe. And it continues. The cycle continues. Anyway, I'm going to play you the recording. I don't know whether this will all fit in together. I don't know. I could be doing a mishmash video right now. I don't even know. Anyways, now with the songbird one, right, as we know, there are anti-vaxxers and vaxxers. So, like I said, this movie highlights this in a lot of ways. You don't like it, really goes in on that, I think, in a certain way, as slow as it is. Let me see if I can pull up the screenshot of it. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, so they called it a pandemic thriller. That's how they've called this movie. Now we know. I mean, I keep saying that in all these movies that has come out for how many years, right? They always, like I said, give you a heads up on everything, literally. The day after tomorrow, the freezing up of the Americas. What's the next one? There's quite a few movies that highlights it. I said like I said in previous videos before, movies predict a lot of things, i.e., AI, cyborgs, um, electric cars. What's the next thing? There's a lot of, like I said, movies bring out a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know how the creators know what's going to happen before it happens, but they seem to have this knack for predicting stuff before it happens. But I'm going to read what Songbird's about so you can see why I've put up these other videos, these very short ones, to show you, like, when you're looking at movies, you have to look at them very deeply. Like I said, you look at them deeply. You don't just look at a movie, just look at a movie. Like, Contagious shows what's going on now. What's the next one? I think Little Tooth shows what's going on now, but in another way. Is represented by a child. I want to play you this video, the other thing, but it's more audio, but it's not really set for this. But with that saying, right, there is a lot going on. On the Instagram, there was, what's it, kebabs for vaccination or something like that. But I will pull that up so you can see it. Those who haven't seen it, you will see it, okay? But we're going to get to why this movie was made and the time it was made. I think they put a time on it. I'm not sure because I don't read the articles prior videos sometime. So I'll be reading just as alongside as the way you be reading. So let's get to it. So this is Get Ready for C23 making a pandemic thriller in a frightening near future. Initially convinced as a creator feature, the C virus gave Songbird the first film shot in LA since March. A terrifying real monster. Its British director explains how he wangled Michael Bay and Demi Moore and Vikram Props. Vacuum Pat Props. What did you do over the lockdown? Learn to obey. Tick off the complete work of Pastoris. Bake your own weight in banana bread. British director Adam Mason made a stereotypical thriller, the first film to be shot in Los Angeles since the pandemic took hold. Actor Simone Michael Bay was co-producer. The cast include Demi Moore, Bradley Watford, Craig Robinson. I just thought I'll get a group of friends together. I'll write something for them to shoot on their iPhones, says Mason. So on their iPhones. Oh, you know, I've seen it. They shot it on their iPhones. Oh, that's interesting. Instead, he wrote Songbird, a sci-fi action movie which will be in every history book that covers the film business in its raucous year to date. Mason tells me about it over Zoom. Of course, a grey and 40-something, he's wearing a Meat is Murder t-shirt on a sunny afternoon in Los Angeles, specifying in front of the seat of his car. There are 3 children in my house who would not allow this conversation, he explains. So this is my office now. Until recently, Mason's CV was a list of low-budget horror films you would not have heard of, plus music videos by Alice in Chains. In March, when California went into lockdown, the project he had lined up had halted after 4 days of pre-production. He went home feeling very scared and worried about the situation. So he and his writing partner, Simon Boyes, decided to keep busy with a pitch, a 12-page outline of the movie. They shared it with the family who paged Bay. The rest is recent history. Shooting commenced in June, and 17 days later the film wrapped. A Spinelli songbird was made, however, it progressed a long way from Mason's initial concept of Cloverfield-style creature feature. They have emerged 20-foot-high monster ramming large Los Angeles, as glimpsed by characters who were stuck inside the apartments. But it felt like we were beating about the bush, said Mason. It seemed silly to invent a monster as a metaphor for what we were going through, when there was a real monster that we couldn't see outside our front door. After we'd been stuck in our houses for 3 weeks, there was something appealing about imagining the worst case scenario 4 years down the line. The story they ended up with is set in 2024. The world has been ravaged by the latest and deadliest strain of C-19, and the government system to stop the spread is a lot similar than anything involving tears and Scotch eggs. Every morning at 9 a.m., you use a mobile phone app to scan yourself for the virus. If you test positive, hazmated suited goons from the sanitation department break down your door, throw you into a van, and drive you to be quarantined in a high-walled shanty town. But some people are immune to the C-19, 24, whatever, and have yellow ID bracelets to prove. One such, Miney, is Nicole, a hunky bicycle, he does the thing, who shows off his waistband abs, his washboard abs, whenever he has a moment. Two of his clients sell counterfeit immunity bracelets on the black market, and Nicole hopes to save up and buy one for his girlfriend. It is diastophonia, says Mason, but ultimately I feel that the film is a lot sweeter than where we are now. When we were writing it, we were debating whether we should put in a curfew or whether that would be hard to believe. And then there were helicopters going over my house announcing a curfew that night. Naturally, the screenplay was written with safety in mind. One character, played by Paul Walter Hudson, was convinced as a drone pilot because Mason thought he might have to shoot the film using drones. In the majority of the scenes, the characters are in separate rooms. Given the circumstances, though, it is surprising how often the characters are face on mask face. There was a lot of communication between the unions, our productions, and the actors and the crew members about what would be deemed safety suitable, says Mason. The result was a set of protocols that have now been adopted across the industry. Mason was tested for the C-19 3 times a week. The cast and crew were separated into different zones to limit their interactions. Everyone wore full PPE, and the actors would not remove their N95 mask until they were ready for a take. Every prop was sterilized, vacuum packed after use. The next time it was needed, the appropriate actor would cut open the pack with their own scissors as to be certain that no one else had touched it. And so, unlike the makers of Batman, for instance, the makers of Songbird got through the shop without any infections. It was incredible to experience it, says Mason. I didn't want to put my family at risk, but because of all the the preconditions, I felt far safer on the set. Oh, where's it gone? He felt far safer on the set. Yeah, felt far safer on the set that I ever felt at the supermarket. In fact, he came to enjoy filmmaking in time of the C-19, and the safety procedures may have been extremely complicated, but other aspects of the production, they talk about the productions and stuff. I'm not looking at that right now. Okay, I'm going to look at one of my ones. That was their productions and what they had to go through. Sound like a lot to me. Okay, let's get with this now. Because they did a whole review on this thing. Now, let me see if I can find it. Okay, so this is also about, this is kind of an overview of the movie. As a legitimate concern rise about people refusing to take the vaccine that could save us from the nightmare that 2020, Mason and producer Michael Bay take the national anxiety about C-19 and wrap it into escapist filmmaking. I am not big on the too soon argument of circumstances criticism, but there is something undeniably off about the movie that uses C-19 as a device on a day when more people will die from disease than 9/11. A talented filmmaker could use that discomfort to find a greater truth. That's not this movie. The truth is that even if one sets aside all the potential moral arguments about the very existence of Songbird, it is still just really bad. If you are going to make a movie that exploits and gross, you really have to make it better to discuss the smell of it, to disguise the smell of it. Everybody here, including Mason and co-writer Simon Boyes, exceeds that feeling, and that their premise is so clever, so unexpected that that's all that is needed to be done first. Songbird sets it tone early with a segment that includes the line, remembering the good old days of the fake news. Let me speak for everyone when I say no. You thought 2020 was bad. You ain't seen nothing yet. In just 4 years, the virus has mutated to C23, which has completely reshaped existence. There's martial law in Los Angeles and something called Q zones, where sick people are basically taken to die, cut off from supplies. Bike messengers like Nicole are essential in the diaspora. The diaspora, because they can get through the now divided city of Los Angeles, especially because the young man happens to be one of the rare people immune to disease. He wears a bracelet that affirms his immunity status, allows him safe passage, typically under the GP's guided instructions of boss Lester. Nico has a girlfriend named Sarah who lives with her grandmother. But the star-crossed lovers only really get to communicate through the FaceTime and closed doors. Zoom is apparently the future. Get used to it. It's how a musician may communicates with her fans, including a recluse named Dozer and a powered player named William, who happens to be sleeping with May. Yes, social encounters involve a face shield, mask at first, but not for long. William is married to Piper and is the father of Emma. He has clearly found a way to profit while the world has fallen apart. Those are usually the bad guys. So is the seemingly Emmett Hurland the enforcer. When people get sick, played with the B movie relish by Peter Stonewall. At least he seems to be having a good time. Of course, Sarah's poor um, Abula, poor grandma gets the disease, and it looks like she's going to be shuttled off to the Q zone, never to be seen again. Nicole races through Los Angeles to get an immunity bracelet like his to save her. All of the characters who have barely shared actual screen time are loosely tied together in a movie that is ultimately incredibly thin on plot in the end. It should be noted that the filmmakers were keen to use real life death as a backdrop, but don't have the courage to approach anything in terms of politics or social issues. That might have given a shallow movie some much needed depth and at the least felt ambitious. Michael Bay have only produced Songbird, not um, directed, but his influence is all over it. To beef up the Finn story, Mason shoots from low angles. Oh, it's going to tell you how they shot it. Yeah, we don't need to know how they shot it. But like they say, see, they talk about the camps in this one, the FEMA camps, because that was also spoken about. So once you are found with the virus, they cart you off and take you somewhere to die. And I think that's the FEMA camps, what they're talking about. Because as much as the guy said that how this movie wasn't made very good, but to me I think it was good because it actually shows how deadly the virus is or how it could be. So with me showing all these disasters, because it all combines together, it all connects, food shortages, etc., because again supplies by the door delivery, so which is what was going on during the lockdown anyway. So not only that, they have an app. Now there is an app which checks to see if you have the C19 as well. So most of these movies, like I said, it all falls into one connection. And I hope somebody don't come and interrupt me. But it all falls into one. So what I'm trying to do is highlight as much as I can how the Songbird does it. Like I said, the immunity bracelet, which they talk about, the immunity bracelet is key. That is the passport thing, what is going to be brought into play. The mandatory thing that is going to be brought into play. So when you're looking at, like I said, looking at the movie, you don't need to look at the movie. You have to look at what the movie's trying to sell. What's the movie trying to tell you? It can be low budget, as long as the story's straight and it's near to real life as possible, then you can understand what the writer is trying to say. Because like I said, most of these writers, they predict everything more or less. So I've done the one on the food shortage, I've done the one on the flooding, I mean, the only thing they didn't talk about was the children situation, because the children, most of the children, like in this case, the wife and the husband, they're kept behind a gated community. So the guy cannot, the delivery person can't enter unless he says who he is or he shows his bracelet. And even when he gets to the place, they still have to go through a vacuum situation with the food. So this is the future coming. This is the future coming. And it's going to get worse. I mean, you have to, I mean, obviously keep up your vitamins, keep yourself going. Like, I get slight colds, so, and I know it's mostly asthma, etc. I got, but I can deal with it. But you have to keep up yourself. Like, me and my daughter's been eating fish, and we find it help. Drink the turmeric, water, juice, milk, tea if you have to. Keep up the immune system. Because certain things is down, it doesn't mean to say it's down. There's always something going on in the background. So why everybody's running thinking it's freedom? It's not freedom. Okay? And just because I haven't drawn up loads of articles to say or explain these freedoms, but there isn't freedom. It's not really there. And the food shortages, anyway, the dominoes is slowly falling one by one. So it's whether people want to listen or don't want to listen. It's up to you at the end of the day. This video, I'm putting it up like I normally do. It's just to indicate that there is certain things going on. Some countries are lucky to have food where they can just pick it off the land. England, UK, it's not like that unless you're in a farming situation. And because of the football, etc., obviously there's the vax that's gone out there than the ones who's not vaccinated. And I'm not telling you to get vaccinated neither. So the whole thing of this movie, like I said, is what it is. The jab against the not jabbed one, the immuted one, immune one, can't even talk, the immune one. So that's what this movie is about. So if you haven't seen the movie, you haven't seen Contagious, you haven't seen Songbird, and any other movie that's to deal with viruses, etc., you need to watch them. You need to watch them because they kind of tell you what's going on. There is videos on here about storing food on YouTube. There's what type of foods you need: dry foods, you need toilet paper, because the last lockdown everybody went crazy for the toilet paper, heaven knows why. You need dry food, tin food, rice, water purifier, water. So basically that's what I'm trying to say. With all this flooding and all that, there is so much going on. Even I can't even put things into words on this one little video. But I'm speaking about Songbird. But Songbird is turned to something else. But you know, my mind is like that. It's like, yeah, my mind goes here, there. Because sometimes you have to just pull out the stuff however you can. And this is what I'm doing. So with that said, please like and subscribe. And thank you for listening, basically. So have a good day, good afternoon. Hopefully I can get some interactions on the videos and we can take it from there. Okay? All right. Have a good day. Bye.